I arrive at the Hotel Le Chambard, a charming, cozy place, but tonight it doesn't feel like home. I go up to my room. The crew heads off to rest. Tomorrow we have more filming, but for me, tomorrow won't come. These are my final moments. Life is a journey, and I've always been a traveler. But this journey, this last stretch, is different. There are no maps or guides, only silence, darkness, and my thoughts. Today I want to tell you how I got here, how everything I thought I knew faded away. I've spent my entire life searching for stories, searching for people, searching for places that would make me feel something, anything. And I found it. I found it in the most unexpected places, in the smiles of strangers who shared a meal with me, in the hidden corners of cities no one visits, in the simple food that brings back childhood memories. Food was always my compass. Through it, I could understand humanity. In every bite, in every dish, in every story shared around a table, I found a reflection of what it means to be human. But now I feel like something has changed. The taste is gone, and what once thrilled me now leaves me empty. I've walked down every alley, tasted every dish. I've seen the best and the worst of the world. I've laughed with people I barely knew and cried with those who shared their deepest stories. I always thought food was a mirror of humanity, that cooking could heal any wound, unite any community. But lately, everything has lost its flavor. It's as if everything I once loved is fading away. When I wrote Kitchen Confidential, I had no idea what was coming. I thought I was just telling kitchen stories, venting years of frustrations and adventures in a world few knew from the inside. But somehow, that book changed my life. It made me a public figure, someone many admired, even though I had never sought that. And with that admiration came isolation, a loneliness I never expected. Success is something few understand. When everyone sees you, when everyone wants a piece of you, you start losing pieces of yourself. The cameras follow you everywhere, the compliments sound hollow, and the days seem to lose meaning. It's ironic, isn't it? I spent my whole life chasing success, only to discover that when I finally achieved it, it left me emptier than ever. I find myself reflecting on those moments when everything seemed to fit, the food, the travel, the people. It all seemed to be in harmony. But you know what? Those moments are fleeting. No matter how hard we try to hold on to them, they slip away. And here I am, with years of accumulated experiences, years of laughter, adventures, travels, and yet I feel more tired than ever. Sometimes I wonder, when did it all start to change? Was it on a particular trip? Was it after a conversation, a meal, an experience that marked me? I don't know. What I do know is that, little by little, I started feeling more distant. Despite all the places I visited, all the cultures I encountered, everything began to fade. The fatigue of existing is real. I didn't understand it until now. I always thought that as long as I kept traveling, as long as I kept searching, something inside me would stay alive. But no matter how many miles you travel or how many meals you taste, in the end, what you carry inside is what defines you, what consumes you. And what I carry inside now is exhaustion. an exhaustion that doesn't go away with a good plate of food or a conversation with a friend. It's the kind of tiredness that you feel in your bones, in your soul, in the deepest corners of your being. It's the kind of fatigue that makes you question everything you've done, everything you are. I was in France, filming another episode of Parts Unknown. I was so excited to return here. This country has always held a special place in my heart. France is not just another destination for me, it's where my love for cooking truly blossomed. It's the place where I learned to respect every ingredient, where I discovered that patience is key in both cooking and life. Every time I returned, I felt the excitement of those early days. I'd stroll through the markets, walk down the cobbled streets, and let the aromas of fresh food stalls wrap around me. There was something about this place that connected me to my roots as a chef. It was a feeling I had never experienced anywhere else. But this time, something was different. I felt it from the beginning, from the moment I set foot in the country. Even though I tried to immerse myself in work, in the experiences that used to excite me, everything felt distant. It was as if I were watching my life from the outside, like a spectator, instead of being a part of it. Even when I was surrounded by people, I felt alone, more alone than I had felt in a long time. The filming continued. From the outside, everything seemed fine. The team was busy, production was moving along, and I was there, going through the motions. Sometimes I wondered if anyone noticed what was really going through my mind. But I was always good at hiding my emotions, masking what I felt behind a joke or a sarcastic comment. In those days, I would wake up in my hotel room, look out the window, and wonder why I was still here. I don't just mean being in France, but everything. Life, the journey, success. It all seemed to have lost meaning. I remember looking at the gray sky from the window, watching the city come to life while I felt completely disconnected from it. The conversations, the laughter, the food, everything sounded distant, as if the world had turned into a movie where I was no longer the protagonist. France, a place that once inspired me, now made me feel smaller, more insignificant. It was as if the place that had once given me so much was now reminding me how empty I felt inside. There were days when I didn't even want to get out of bed. No matter how many meetings or dinners I had planned, it was hard to find the energy to keep going. I felt trapped in a routine that no longer excited me, in a body that no longer responded to the same motivations as before. And although I tried to put on my best face, that darkness, that feeling of emptiness, was stronger than ever. I know the days grew long. The shoots that used to be an escape now felt like an obligation. Before, work gave me purpose, made me feel alive. But this time, it only reminded me how tired I was. Even at dinners, those gatherings that used to be my favorite part of the day, everything felt heavy, distant. I remember one night in particular, after a long day of filming, I went out to dinner with some colleagues. The food was delicious, as it always is in France. But while everyone laughed and chatted, I felt as if I were somewhere else, trapped in my own thoughts. Their voices seemed distant, as if they were speaking miles away, and I couldn't concentrate on what they were saying. My mind was elsewhere, wandering through dark thoughts that I couldn't stop. In those moments, the idea of giving up became clearer. It wasn't the first time those thoughts had crossed my mind. but this time they felt different. It was as if the decision was finally there, waiting for me. I had always been the kind of person who faced their problems with humor, who didn't let others see the depth of my internal struggles. But that night, something inside me broke. I don't know exactly what brought me to that point. Maybe it was the accumulated exhaustion from years of traveling, of always being on the move. Or maybe it was the loneliness I had ignored for so long. What I do know is that, in that moment, I felt like I couldn't go on. It was as if the weight of the world had suddenly fallen on me, and I didn't have the strength to lift it. The days in France continued, but for me, everything felt different. I knew something had changed inside me, but I didn't know how to face it. I kept going, fulfilling my responsibilities, smiling when I had to. But inside, I felt more lost than ever. And the more I tried, the more I realized that I no longer had control over my life. It's ironic. Travel had always been my refuge, my way of escaping my problems. But now, not even the most beautiful landscapes or the most exquisite meals could fill the emptiness I felt. I had reached a point where nothing made me feel whole. And though I tried not to think too much about it, the thought that everything could end soon was becoming more and more present. I'm in France again, but this time it's different. I'm in Kaisersberg, in Alsace, a region I know well. The food here is incredible, the wines are exquisite, and the people, well, the people have always been generous with me. I'm here to film another episode of Asterisk Parts Unknown Asterisk, my show, the one that's taken me to places I never imagined, but sometimes leaves me feeling more empty than I'd expect. Eric, my friend, my brother, is here with me. He's always been by my side, through the good times and the bad. We had dinner together last night. At another time, it would have been the kind of dinner that lifted my spirits, with food reminding me why I love doing this. But this time, it wasn't the same. Something inside me feels dimmed, like a spark I can't reignite. I feel distant, even though Eric is right next to me. The laughter, the conversations, everything sounds so far away, as if I'm watching a movie from the back row. My mind is clouded. I think about everything I've done, the places I've been, the people I've shared a meal, a story, a laugh with. And yet, here I am, unable to make sense of it all. I've traveled the world. I've met incredible people. I've lived a life many would dream of. But this exhaustion, this emptiness inside me, it doesn't go away. It's like a shadow that follows me, no matter how far I travel. I arrive at the Hotel Le Chambard, a charming, cozy place, but tonight it doesn't feel like home. I go up to my room. The crew heads off to rest. Tomorrow we have more filming, but for me, tomorrow won't come. I sit on the bed, but my mind can't rest. I think about my relationship with Asia. I love her, but lately, everything has been hard. Things have changed. The photos I saw, the rumors, the pain, it affects me more than I want to admit. It's not the only reason, but it's like another stone added to the weight I carry. I stand up. I look around the room. I don't feel sadness, nor anger, just a strange peace, as if everything is finally falling into place. I walk towards the bathroom. The silence is complete, but in my mind, there's a calm, an acceptance. This is where it ends. I know it, and I'm not afraid. I don't know how much time has passed. I open my eyes, but something is different. I no longer feel the weight I carried, no longer feel the pain or the confusion. I see myself, my body in the bathroom, and there, standing in the doorway, is Eric. I see him enter. His face changes as he realizes what has happened. I hear him call my name, though I'm no longer there. I wish I could tell him I'm okay, that I finally found the peace I was looking for, but I can't. I'm here, but I can't touch him. I can't speak to him. I can only watch. I see him stand still, unable to move for a few seconds that seem eternal. I wish I could tell him this isn't his fault, that there was nothing he could have done, but I can only watch as he processes what can never be undone. Hours pass. Others arrive. The room fills with people. They speak in hushed voices, ask questions, take notes. Everything feels so distant now, as if it's a dream and I'm just an observer. My body is still there, but I'm no longer a part of it. I think about what I've left behind, the stories I told, the people I met, the moments when everything seemed to make sense. Was it enough? I'll never know, but now it doesn't matter. My journey has ended. Perhaps in another plane, a new one begins. I don't know where I'm going, but finally, I'm not afraid. The journey has ended, but the stories remain. I have always been a storyteller. That was what defined me more than being a chef, a writer, or a television host. The stories were my true purpose. Through them, I learned that food is not just what we eat, but the way we connect as human beings. In every corner of the world, in every dish I tasted, there was a story to tell. Those stories taught me more about humanity than any book could have. Over the years, I had the privilege of meeting incredible people in the most remote and unexpected places. They opened their hearts to me and let me into their lives, even if only for a moment. And for an instant, I was able to see the world through their eyes. That was the true gift life gave me. It gave me the chance to share experiences with people I would never have met otherwise, and to tell their stories to the world. My stories were never just about food. Yes, food was the vehicle, but what really mattered were the people, the conversations we had, the moments we shared, the way, for a little while, the differences disappeared, and we connected on a basic human level. And that was always my mission, to show the world that no matter where we come from, we are all connected by something as simple as a shared meal. It's ironic, isn't it? My whole life was a search, a constant exploration of the unknown. Traveling gave me the chance to see the world from perspectives I never imagined. And yet, here I am, at the end of the road, realizing that the true richness of life is not in the miles we travel, but in the connections we make along the way. People used to ask me what my favorite place in the world was, what the best food I had ever tasted was. I always struggled to answer that question, because it wasn't the place or the dish that mattered. What mattered was the context. It was the fact that in that moment, I was sharing something with someone. I was connecting, learning, and that is priceless. I have witnessed the best and the worst of the world. I've seen beauty and cruelty, joy and suffering. And through it all, I learned that life is not perfect. It's chaotic, messy, unpredictable. But it's also beautiful in its chaos. It's in those imperfect moments that we find what really matters. Not in the big achievements, not in personal victories, but in the small human connections we make along the way. So if you're listening to this, I want you to remember one thing. Don't stop searching. Don't stop exploring. Don't stop asking. Don't stop telling stories. Because in the end, stories are all we really have. The experiences we live, the people we meet, the moments we share. That's what remains. That's what transcends. I can't say that everything has made sense. Maybe life is like that, a series of moments that, on their own, seem disconnected, but together form a bigger story. My story is no different. Not everything fit perfectly. Not all my decisions were right. But in the end, what matters is that I lived. I traveled, I loved, I met people, I laughed, and I cried. And that's enough. People are always looking for answers, always trying to understand why someone does what they do. But sometimes there are no clear answers. Sometimes we just keep going because we don't know what else to do. And that's okay. It's part of being human. It's part of the journey. The world is a beautiful place, but it can also be a dark one. Throughout my life, I've seen both sides. I've experienced light and darkness, hope and despair. And if I've learned anything, it's that we shouldn't fear the darkness. We should embrace it because it's a part of us. Darkness doesn't define who we are, but it reminds us that we are human, with everything that implies. If there's one thing I've learned from this journey, it's that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight in silence. No matter how far we've traveled, how many people we've met, or how many experiences we've lived, we all carry our own internal struggles. Sometimes those battles are invisible to others, but that doesn't make them any less real. In many of the places I visited, I saw people facing unimaginable difficulties with a smile on their face. People who, despite adversity, kept moving forward. But what I've come to understand is that all of us, no matter where we come from or what we've lived through, need to speak. We need to share our stories, not just the ones of success or joy, but also the ones of pain and struggle. I know it's easy to feel alone, to feel like no one else would understand what we're going through. I know that feeling because I've felt it. But the truth is, there's always someone willing to listen. There's always someone who wants to help, even if you don't see it in that moment. It's important not to stay silent. It's important to seek support, even when you feel like everything is lost. The stories we tell can save us. Sometimes just sharing your story can make all the difference. It may not solve all your problems, but it can ease some of the weight you carry. And most importantly, it can connect you with others who may be going through the same thing. So, if you're listening to this, I want you to know something. Your story matters. Your life matters. Don't walk this journey alone. Don't stay silent. Talk to someone. Seek help. Because we all deserve to be heard. We all deserve a space to tell our stories. And we all deserve support in the darkest moments. In my life, I had the privilege of telling many stories. Stories of incredible people, of fascinating cultures, of meals that connected us on a deep level. But what I learned most from those stories is that in the end, we are not alone. There is always someone there, always a community willing to listen, to share with you, to walk alongside you on the journey. Don't let the darkness consume you. Life can be chaotic, messy, and sometimes too painful. But it's also beautiful in its imperfection, in the connections we make with others. So, if you're struggling, if you feel lost, remember that there's always a path toward the light. There's always a way to keep moving forward. You just have to seek help, tell your story, and allow others to join you on the journey. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're facing. You are never alone in this journey. There are people who want to listen to you, who want to be by your side, who will support you without judgment. Don't give up. Speak, share, and let the stories connect you with others as they've always connected me. If this story has touched you, I invite you to reflect on the importance of speaking up, of not staying silent. Internal struggles may be invisible to others, but they are real. Seek support. Don't walk this path alone. The stories must continue, and yours matters.